Who loves gold? Gold? We love gold.
Welcome to Run With It, an exciting show on running, fitness, and health. But first, make sure you see your doctor before starting an exercise program. On today's show, we will be speaking with registered dietitian Crystal Higgins about healthy eating tips for runners. Also, we have a special report on one of Vancouver's hottest races. We have an interview with Sharon Taylor, who will share some tips on exercises runners can do without going to the gym. Stay tuned for our good, the bad, and the ugly. But first, let's go to some stretching exercises. So, let's run with it. In our last show, we talked about proper footwear, clothing, and setting running goals. Now let's get physical. Let's talk about stretching, the importance of stretching. Here with me is Miriam Krause, who will show us some stretching techniques. First, we're going to go to the calf stretch, starting with the right leg. It's important to hold each stretch 20 to 30 seconds. Important too to relax and breathe.
The proper technique is to lean into a support position using your forearms for support. Push your heel down to the ground while keeping your head, neck, spine, and pelvis and leg in a straight line.
And the next one, the IT band. The IT band you can do against a wall, but here we're doing it against a tree. And this is the quadricep. This is good for your hamstring.
Avoid this exercise if it causes pain in your knees. Slightly bend your leg at the knee and keep your lower back straight.
The last one is the hip flexor. It's important not to bounce. Thanks, Miriam. These are just a few stretching exercises, but stay tuned for more stretching tips in upcoming shows. So here are some email questions that we have received over the last week. First one is from Joan. I'm just starting out and want to know what would be a good starting distance to set as a goal. I'm in my mid-30s and in relative good shape. Thanks for your question, Joan. I would suggest a 5K distance and then work yourself up to a 10K. And the second one is from Sheila. Is there a suggested meal size and type for different distance runs, like a 5 or a 10K? No. It's following a balanced diet, like following the Canadian Food Guide. And the last one is from Angie. I have a history of minor sports injuries. Is there a preferred terrain to help avoid injury? I have a history of lower back problems. Thanks for your question, Angie. I would suggest training on grass or parked trails. Try to avoid concrete pavement and sidewalks. Before starting any running program, it's important to fuel your body properly. Here with me is Crystal Higgins, registered dietitian, to talk about healthy eating habits. Welcome to the show, Crystal.
Thanks, Christine. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So the first question I have, what are some healthy eating tips for runners?
Well, runners are just like anyone else, and I really think that a general balanced diet is the way to go. For example, following Canada's Food Guide to Healthy Eating, ensuring that your meals have 3 out of the 4 food groups, and structuring them like so. Trying to aim for half your plate as vegetables, a quarter as starches, so whole grains like brown rice or quinoa. Something like quinoa is an excellent grain for runners. It has a ton of different vitamins and minerals, protein and fiber, and is very quick to cook, and as well including lean proteins, so something like chicken, fish, tofu if you're vegetarian, just to get that balance in there, definitely. Thank you.
So, what should runners eat before and after every workout, Crystal?
Before the workout is really crucial to get some carbohydrates and some fluids. So something like a fresh piece of fruit, so something like even just as basic as an apple. And you can get as colorful as you'd like. Doing something like a plum or a nectarine, an orange, and doing at least 2 cups of fluids before you go out to run is really crucial. After you come back, you want to fuel your body with some carbohydrates that you've lost, some fluid, and also a little bit of protein. So something that's new that's come out onto the market is this Greek yogurt, and it's wonderful because it's quite high in protein.
Greek yogurt?
Greek yogurt, yeah. So it's different because they take out a little bit more of the liquid, leave you with a little bit more protein, and this is a fruit-flavored yogurt, so it will give you a little bit more of the carbohydrates that your body needs after working out and running.
I should try it.
Yeah, it's tasty, really tasty.
So
Great.
What other nutritional information should runners know about?
Definitely portion control, because starting a running program, a lot of people may feel that you need to eat more. It's very common, I see it all the time. Basically, you want to make sure that especially your carbohydrates are no more than about the size of your fist. Also, you don't want to have too many processed foods in your diet. So keeping things as wholesome as possible. I like to call them 1-ingredient foods. So you're not loading up on lots of sodium and chemicals and that type of thing. So keeping things fresh, trying a new food that you might not have seen before. For example, one thing I've been promoting a lot is something called hemp seeds. And
hemp seeds?
Yeah, it's a little seed, really quite high in protein and omega-3s. It's a great addition to breakfast cereals, to oatmeal. You can sprinkle it on salads, and it's a great taste and excellent value for protein and omega-3 fats. So
Wonderful.
Try something new as well.
Absolutely, trying something new. Yes, and what about water? How important is water?
Water is crucial, and especially water versus other sugar-sweetened beverages. So definitely choosing water over something like Gatorade or sodas or juices. I do recommend we tend to eat our calories instead of drink them. So fueling your body with at least sort of 6 to 8 cups of water per day.
Crystal, I love chocolate. So What about chocolate?
Well, I have to be honest, Christine, I love chocolate too, and I really strongly believe that you can have everything within moderation, and doing that little bit of exercise does give you a little bit of extra leeway, and actually one of the most effective recovery beverages has been chocolate milk. It's very effective in terms of refueling your muscles and giving your body the components that it needs to recover.
Thank you, Crystal, for joining us.
My pleasure.
For more information, check out Crystal's website at the bottom of the screen.
NouveauNutrition.com.
Thanks again, Crystal.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I need your help. There was a tie here.
Under sunny skies, over 1,000 runners dressed in the hottest costumes took to the Vancouver streets to help support cancers below the waist. Run With It spoke with the organizer from the BC Cancer Foundation.
Is this kind of what you expected? All right, this is an amazing thing we're about to do. You're going to see some very surprised people as we make our way around the seawall.
I'm the president and CEO of the BC Cancer Foundation, and we're putting this event on with a few thousand of our friends to raise some eyebrows and raise some money for cancers below the waist.
Great. And how many people are here right now?
We think we'll have over 1,000 runners taking part when we head out here in a few minutes. And this is the 8th year of the event. It's gotten bigger every year. We've raised more money, and what's most important is the dollars that we've raised in the past have made a real difference for how cancer patients are treated here in British Columbia.
Why are you participating in this event?
Team captain, you on your behalf.
Well, excuse to dress up in our underpants. What can I say? No, we know lots of people who've gone through this, so we thought this is a good reason to be out there and supporting the cause, and an excuse to dress up.
My husband was diagnosed with colon cancer in March, and my dad also had colon cancer. So, and I do other runs for charity, and when I saw this one, I just knew we had to do it to bring awareness to colon cancer. It's one of the easiest to treat and diagnose if people will just get in and get a colonoscopy. So it's to support cancer research and to encourage people to get their checkups.
It is a lot of fun. Anybody that has been touched by cancer, been on a cancer journey, or had someone close to them go through cancer knows that cancer is serious business. This event is not serious, and it's an opportunity to mix some fun with some fundraising and do some good.
Some runners don't go to the gym for that total overall fitness. Sharon Taylor is a fitness coordinator at South Arm Community Center in Richmond, and she is here to talk about some exercises that runners can do without going to the gym.
Runners enjoy being in the outdoors and having that fresh air and being able to feel a sense of freedom. And going into a gym, it is an enclosed place. You might be on a treadmill, pretty boring, you're not going anywhere. You've got other people around you that might be grunting and groaning and doing different exercises. So I think that that's the main reason. They're just used to being in the outdoors and love that freedom.
So what exercises can runners do?
That are very simple exercises with no equipment. Definitely some squats, lunges are a really good exercise. You want to keep a balance. You want to do some exercises that are good for the frontal muscles as well as the back muscles.
So as you can see, this is a very easy piece of equipment. Skipping rope, Christine mentioned this, and it's easy to fit in a bag, and it is just so much fun to skip wherever you feel will allow you in one foot. Great for cardiovascular strength. I'm using all those muscles in the back and front of my legs. Make sure that you put your heel down when you're skipping. So this is a great tool.
Runner's World is a fabulous tool for runners. Online, they have some really good exercise ideas for people who don't have gym capabilities, that are just working out at home. So that would be a tool that I would recommend your runners to go to.
And so you were mentioning some of the benefits, right? Your core and what else?
Yeah, and keeping a balance. So running, as we know, uses the lower body muscles. what about those upper body muscles, particularly the shoulder girdle, the abdominals, the pectoral muscles, the arm muscles? There's a tendency for runners to come up in this position, so it's really important for them to be thinking about posture and doing exercises that are specific to the muscle groups in the back and the pecs will help keep better posture. So balance is pretty important when you're thinking about exercising outside of just running.
Other things that I really suggest you do, of course, are squats. So the squat, you want to press the hips back. You want to make sure that the knees are coming behind the toe, they're not coming forward. So pressing the hip back, try and be on the heels. But also I was talking about things moving side to side. So a lateral squat is really important because one of the injuries with running is lack of hip stability. So moving out, behind, and getting that hip action and that balance action. So this would work the gluteus medius, straight behind, gluteal, bringing it in front, and just a little toe tap, just in front with a little knee bend, hip flexion, and then switching to the other side. So anything that moves around a clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 6 o'clock is great movements for runners.
So Sharon, what is your favorite exercise?
A walking lunge with a torso rotation. Works the core, plus it works those muscles that you need for good stability in running.
So that's some leg exercises. I had mentioned I love walking lunges. So a lunge, of course, must be safe, the knee behind the toe, not in front. The other leg is coming back, and you're pretty much at a 90-degree angle at the hip and knee joints. Walking lunges, well, of course, taking it from one position, coming up nice and tall, down into the other position with the other foot. Or just, if you've just got a little space at home, a stationary lunge up and down. My favorite, with a torso rotation. Rotating, rotating, and up. Down, rotate, rotate to the other side, and up. And you can see I really got to stabilize those muscles in the core.
And how often should runners do these exercises?
I would say try and incorporate it in your regime at least twice a week. If you're not exercising now, that means that you probably don't like to do it. So even if you're doing it once a week, good on you. You want to do at least 10 to 15 reps of each exercise, and one time through is great. 3 times might be better, especially if you're trying to work on your cardiovascular, because more sets, more reps keeps the heart rate up. But research shows 1 set of everything is just as good as 3 sets.
All right, so now what I'd like to do is show you some exercises with tools. These are called exercise bands. And certainly you can incorporate those when you're doing your squats. You can also, just using something that's quite strong, like a tree or a basketball or soccer net pole. So as you can see, you've got a balance, so try not to hold on to anything, and we're just pushing back, using our muscles in our hip glutes. Again, as I showed you, you want to think about a clock, so coming to the side, more like a 4 o'clock, also now engages the gluteus medius. Turning to the side, we're now getting a lateral movement, and notice I don't have to make it very big. I'm using those muscles. And the great thing about this too is you're also forcing the core to stabilize because you're balancing. The leg is slightly bent that you're balancing on. So I demonstrated that without the tube earlier, just pointing in front, pointing to 2 o'clock. So there's a variation on that with, this is called a tube. And an exercise tube is quite popular in classes at fitness centers, and they're pretty inexpensive. $15, I think, is the max that you'll ever pay for an exercise tube. You can hold it here at the waist, or you can bring it up and back into those squats, as I showed you, a little bit more resistance, or taking it to the side. So once again, we're working those lateral gluteal muscles. Anything that works behind, you're also going to be engaging the hamstrings.
I like the stairs.
Good idea. Stairs are great, especially when you're, well, we're sitting here in Richmond. Richmond is quite flat, so those that live in a community that doesn't have a lot of hills, stair climbing is fantastic. It really builds the quads, and it also really gets that heart rate going and cardiovascular improvement. I would include going backwards too, not just going forwards, because runners are only going forwards and they're forgetting about moving backwards or sideways.
I have this step here. Christine loves stepping, but she uses a staircase, which is great. But if you don't have that option, just getting a platform 5 inches, 6 inches above the ground, and just stepping up and down, and making sure that every time you step up that you're using a different leg, so switch from left to right. So I was suggesting incorporating some backward stepping. For hip stability, one that's very popular with runners is this one, just dropping. So it's a little knee drop, and you're just bringing the heel to the floor in front of you. Again, you can do stability exercises. Again, balance. You can take a lunge behind you. So on your staircase at home, just use that lower step and incorporate a little variation on your lunge.
Great. Now, some parks have circuit training.
Yes, outdoors they do, yeah. And it's wonderful because actually you can be running, stop, do a set of push-ups or whatever little machine they may have for that station, run another lap, come back, do another set. It may be a core station. Those are fun, they're outdoors. So already we've got the runners interested because they enjoy being outdoors. And they often have a little sign that shows you what you can do properly.
A lot of people don't have dumbbells at home. So what I've brought is my mayonnaise and my relish. And you can see, even using soup cans as an example, you can incorporate some other muscles than just the lower body muscles that you're using a lot in running. So here's a bicep curl with a little bit of resistance. Your squats, you can be holding a little bit more resistance. You can just place them on the shoulders if you want. And other exercises to include for upper body. Taking your first step, you can incorporate an exercise that uses those pec muscles, which you don't engage in running, and also uses the tricep muscle, which is opposite to the bicep that we were doing, that often doesn't get used very much in our day-to-day living. Another exercise that you can do without a step, going into the core, is getting down onto your carpet, or for this example outside, and going into what's called a plank. The plank is one of the most recommended core exercises out there now. If you ask a personal trainer what they'd recommend to strengthen those core muscles, it certainly is the plank. That's the prone plank. Include that in your regime, but also, again, hip stability is needed. So you're going to be using those hips, a side plank. Pressing the hips up, elbow directly under the shoulder, and making sure that you're breathing, core muscles tight, and hold it for as long as you can comfortably until you find that you're breaking down. Of course, both sides. So that's the 2 plank variations. You can do it on one foot. You can also, if you're just starting out, don't feel like you have to come from your feet. You can also come from the knees. Same thing with the prone plank. Coming from the knees. Shoulders are certainly an area that people will tighten and lift when they're running. So when you're doing these exercises, I highly recommend keeping things down, posture in check. It gives you a moment if you're going to do a 5 to 10 minute little exercise regime to focus on all those postural cues, your breathing, core stability. Think about a belt around the midsection and you've tightened it. Another way of thinking of it too is you're in a spot that all the bathrooms are out of order and you got to go to the bathroom. Pull in those pelvic floor muscles and hold it. That's a wonderful way of thinking about keeping those pelvic floor muscles tight and engaged while you're running and doing all these exercises.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Sharon.
My pleasure.
So every time that you enter a race, you need one of these, the bib. Now for our good and bad and ugly segment. The good would be to wear the bib on the front of your shirt so that when you cross the finish line, you'll get a time. The bad is that it's not on properly and you lose it during the race, or you forget it at home. And the ugly would be is that you pin it on the back of your shirt and when you cross the finish line, you don't get a result. Thanks for watching and keep those emails coming. Until next time, run with it.